So just a reminder to everybody, although you probably all heard the spiel, that this is the Performance Art Daily. It's a project of the Toronto Free Gallery, which is the gallery we're in right now. It's a kind of satellite program of the festival to give an opportunity for people to have a more, the public in general, although it seems to be mostly artists who are in the festival, and that's fine too, but a chance to have the kind of dialogue that we as artists get, you know, in the bar afterwards or at dinners, that kind of thing. But have a chance to talk more intimately with the artists about their work and about their situation. And we're very pleased with the way it's been going so far. It is being taped and will all end up eventually on the web, so hopefully it will also be a kind of lasting resource and conversation for others to access for whatever research purposes they want. This particular project was funded by the Canada Council Special Assistance for Performance Art Fund. So, I think that's enough with introductions. I'm Paul Couillard. Tanya Mars was supposed to be hosting today, but she decided that her time would be better spent cooking dinner for the artists. So she's left me in charge. So unfortunately, you won't get the wisdom of one of our senior artists today. You're stuck with me. My name is Paul Couillard, and I'm on the board of Toronto Free Gallery and one of the members of the 7A11D Collective. So our three panelists today are Robin Brass from Saskatchewan, part of the Saulteaux tribe, is that correct?
Yeah, Saulteaux
Nation. And they won't get it.
Saulteaux Nation.
Saulteaux Nation. Maurice Bloch, Dutch artist living in Finland, and Brian Connolly from Northern Ireland. I wanted to start today maybe a little bit differently than the way the other talks have gone. I thought it would be interesting to start by asking the artists something about where they come from, where they're situated in their own places and communities, because, you know, we are from very far-flung kind of groups, and Toronto, what we know is Toronto, so and a sort of little sense of the international scene. But it seems to me you all work in very particular contexts and particular regions, etc. So I thought it would be interesting to start with that. So Robin, if you don't mind, if we open with you. I know you were living in northern Saskatchewan and have recently moved to Regina, so maybe you can talk a bit about what your situation is like where you live.
Okay. Well, I'm actually born and raised in a city called Regina, Saskatchewan, which is out on inner Canada, the plains, the prairies, and I've been there. I've been in the province my entire life. I've lived there my entire life. I'm also a member of Pepixis First Nation, which is a Cree and Saulteaux community, and Anishinaabe. Saulteaux and Anishinaabe were just a western sort of extension of what they call out here the Anishinaabe people. The community out there, Saskatchewan's always had for many, many years, a really wonderfully supportive environment. Well, generally speaking, quite supportive of artists as a whole. In 1947, I think it was, the provincial government established the first provincial arts funding body. It was the first one in the country. And so for many, many years it was, and it was cheap. No, everybody ignored us. Nobody liked Saskatchewan from anywhere else. They drove through it. Where are you from? Oh yeah, I've driven through there. And it was nice because we could do a lot. It was that sort of isolation and creativity and freedom and sort of that came. And I'm also, but it was probably about a little over 20 years ago, there started to be, I guess you could say, the next generation of, that's kind of maybe the third wave sort of generation of really sort of critically engaged and indigenous artists who were really sort of pushing their way into the larger art world. And about 20 years ago, and I got on board with that pretty quick, and became involved basically doing a lot of organizing, founding and co-founding of a couple of different indigenous-run organizations, like what we call a provincial cultural organization, province-wide based, representative of a lot of different disciplines and practices. And we produced a wonderful magazine which only came out 3 times. I mean, we had 3 issues and then it died. But it was really cutting edge and groundbreaking. I don't know if you know that one, Paul, Talking Stick magazine. Yeah. It was, and we were just flying by the seat of our pants, right? Nobody had ever done this before, but lots of beautiful things came out. And the organization that came from, which I was chair of at the time, eventually we sort of self-destructed and blew each other up. And but we dispersed then into 3, well, basically it birthed 3 indigenous-run, artist-run centers in the province, which is unheard of anywhere basically in the world. One in the northern part of the province, called Wapaman, which no longer functions, or maybe they function, they just sort of do project-based stuff, a few times, every few years, I don't know. One in Saskatoon, which I'm sure many of you might be aware of. The director there is Laurie Blondo, performance artist, and that's called Tribe Inc. And then the other one in Regina, which is called Sakewewak Artist Collective, and the director there is Elwood Chimmy. So I've been very involved in sort of then co-founding the Sakewewak and where I'm from, where I'm located. So heck of a lot of organizing, heck of a lot of behind the scenes stuff. 3 years, of volunteer kind of work, grant writing, administrative, community building, and then my own and also very much connected, always in my work, always in my process, intergenerationally, and really going after the old people. And I'm kind of like an elder stalker, been described as, but you got to show up and keep knocking, and then the good stuff comes. So I do that too.
So in terms of the work you do in your own community, it seems very much based on supporting and promoting Indigenous art activity. And I'm wondering if you're thinking also in terms of who you're trying to reach as an audience.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big factor for me. Always has been. I get really annoyed with people that don't meet deadlines for promotional stuff. You have to. So for me, getting whatever you're doing out there and getting it out, the word out in as many ways and forms possible, and your audience. And I was I've worked very hard, and a number, other people as well. For me, it was a real sort of personal goal, though, of trying to bring some sort of new life into, particularly, yes, Indigenous people. I mean, it was for everybody. It's always for everybody, right? But me, I have a really, really heartfelt sort of vested interest in First Nations people and our communities societies as a whole, and trying to bring them into understanding more critical thinking and critical engagement in what is culture, what is an artistic practice, and how that can really sort of transform our lives, hopefully politically, socially.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to that as the discussion goes on in terms of this sense of the communities that we develop through our work and using a contemporary kind of practice, for example, to help invigorate and to assert an ongoing traditional culture. I think that's a really interesting point that we can get into later, but it would also be nice, I think, to hear a little bit about the other artists in the communities they work in first. So let's move on to Maurice.
Yeah, I live in a very small place in Finland. It's Finland's 4th biggest city, and it has a population of 100,000 people. I lived there since 2005, and it's a very quiet community, I think, although performance art has is quite a big scene, I think, in Finland. There are many different groups scattered around the country which organize.